So in this video I'm going to teach you how to do turn on your automatic motorcycle. We're going to do some exercises like figure eights, navigating around like a little course. Also when you're at a stationary position, turning, taking off with a turn, and also a U-turn as well. So that's what this video is all about. And also it's important to remember that there's two kind of types of turns or types of maneuvering a motorcycle. One is by turning the handlebars, turning the front wheel, and the other involves more of a lean, and that's going to be the next video. That's about doing things like the slaloms and the counter steers, and that's at higher speed. So this video is about turning your motorcycle at low speeds. Next video, how to maneuver and turn your bike when you're going at high speeds. Okay, so first and foremost, we're trying to remain a little bit relaxed here. So with our arms, we're not forcing things, we're not using lots of strength. So it's actually trying to just gently push and use our upper body to turn change the directions of our scooter. So it's important to remember, first of all, keep your wrist straight and your elbow bent. This way, if your elbow is bent, you can actually move these things back and forth. The other thing is elbows down. We're not birds with our wings out. Keeping your elbows down and shoulders down as well and relaxed. So when it comes to turning, it's all about the waist up. And very importantly, it's about your eyes as well. Whoop. And actually, one thing that's probably the most important thing about a turn, your head, your eyes. So where your eyes go you should be focusing your eyes on where you want the bike to actually go, because it's remarkable how where you look is where your bike goes. One thing to remember is with our eyes is one cause of a lot of accidents is object fixation, and that's when you're staring at a hazard or staring at the car and you run straight into it. So to overcome this, you need to train your eyes not to look at the problem or the hazard or the pothole, but to look to where you want your motorcycle to go. So shift your focus to where you actually want your motorcycle to go, because what happens when your eyes shift, your chin shifts, your shoulder shifts, and your arm shifts, then your bike will go that way. If you're just looking at it with your eyes and your heads and shoulders are still not pointing in a different direction, that's which way your bike's got to go. So remember, this is all about your head, your eyes, your chin, your shoulders, and looking to where you actually want to go. So very, very important principle. The other thing is about our legs. Keep your legs tucked in. So one thing that's a popular expression is particularly when you've, not with these step-through bikes, but when you've got bikes with a tank there in front, is you're squeezing the tank. So you're squeezing your knees in and holding your knees tucked in tight to your tank. This way you've actually got more upper body control to turn the brakes. You're not turning with your legs or your hips. Your hips, knees and feet, actually you want to become one with the body of the bike. So they are the bike, and it's the upper body which turns your motorcycle. So there are a couple of principles to remember. Now I'm going to do a little exercise so you can set up this for yourself. Now you'll actually see I found this beautiful big space. It's a night market and it's daytime, so no one's here. I'm the only person here. So this is a perfect place for a beginner to practice your turns. Also, conveniently, there's a few old chairs and markers set up, so I'm going to use these. And it's important that back to that principle of focusing on certain things, when you're doing these kind of exercises, have a place in mind. So I'm actually going to steer my motorcycle around that marker, and you're looking at your path. You're not just turning for the sake of turning, you're turning with purpose. So it's important to set up yourselves a little exercise so you can practice turning, purposeful turning, like in a real life context. So I've got these markers just here. I'm not sure why they're there, but it's perfect for me. I'm going to, okay, if you're a beginner, just get the bike going straight and then turn, take like a right-hand turn. So rather than go around in circles, go straight, make your turn. Go straight, make your turn. Mainly because what you're trying to do is, we want to try and get used to, controlling your speed is very, very important. And I say go on a straight path and then take your turn, because controlling the bike's speed is really an integral part of being able to turn the bike successfully. And there's a different speed when you're going in the straight line, steadying your speed and navigating that corner at a controlled speed. And then once you turn the corner, then you can accelerate and move off. Now, controlling the speed as well, we're using our rear brake. So the principle is, with regard to speed, is controlling your speed with the rear brake. In one of the earlier videos with the slow ride maneuver, I think it's the previous video to this, it talks about and shows you how to control the speed of your bike with the rear brake so that your weight is on that rear brake and not on the front. So the front wheel is used for the turn, and your rear brake is to control and steady that speed. So it's important to have that rear brake on when you're turning. Very, very important not to use your front brake. This is how a lot of beginners have accidents, because what happens when you use your front brake, that front wheel grabs, and the front wheel grabs and it turns. And once that front wheel grabs and turns, you go off. So do not use your front brake when you're learning how to do turns. So you'll see my method. I'll be focusing, I'll be riding in a straight line. I'll shift my head and my chin to look to the target. I'll turn, and once I get around the turn, I'll shift my focus to the straight again, and then off I go. So practice your right turns, lots of right turns, then practice your left turns. So I'll do a few more and show you. Okay, don't try this at home. I'm riding with a camera and demonstrating. So when it comes to your turn, starting with the head, you watch my head, I shift my eyes, shift my chin, and then take the turn, and then focus my head and towards the front again. So away we go. So shift, so I'm in a straight, I'm going on the straight, shift my head, shift my chin, my shoulder drops a little bit, my elbow drops a little bit as well. We're going to get into the lean of the bike a little bit later, but that's another little tip you can try, is when it's time for the turn, shift your head and chin, shift your shoulders towards, but also you can drop your shoulder and drop your elbow a little bit. That helps with a little bit of a lean of the bike. So I shift my head, shift my shoulder down a little bit, and helps with that. So remember, the lower part of your body, from your hips down, don't think about those. They should be rigid. They should be, well, not rigid, but they should be part of the bike. So your lower body should not be involved in the turns. At low speeds, it's all about the upper body. In particular, start with your head and your focus. So I'm going to go around a corner here. Hang on, I'll go on a straight first. Going on the straight, shift my focus, and turn the handlebars, and away you go. Okay, once you've mastered your turns and feeling comfortable doing turns, remember, get yourself out in a big car park like this where no one's around, and you can just start to feel the bike and feel how you can shift your shoulders and your upper body and turn the bike comfortably. Remember to keep your speed consistent while you're doing the turn, and keep the rear brake on to control that speed and momentum. Next exercise is, we're now going to do some figure eights. Now the benefit of figure eight is you get to practice shifting the weight, shifting the turn. So you're going to go around, then you shift your focus and weight to the other side and around again. So you're going to be doing some figure eights. Now as a beginner, start with your figure eight nice and big, really, really big. And again, like I said at the early on, actually set up some markers. Start them really wide, so this is like purposeful training, so you actually can steer around certain things. As your skills and confidence increase, you can make the actual 8 much smaller, so you can get it nice and tight. So here's what a figure 8 is looking like for a beginner. Okay, here in the car park, there's a couple of chairs and a couple of markers. For a beginner, I wouldn't actually recommend using chairs. I'd recommend using something that's small, so if you actually hit it, it doesn't matter. Like tennis balls cut in half is perfect. In the last video I used shuttlecocks, I actually bought some paper here, and my thought was I was going to scrunch up the paper into balls and use those, because if I roll over some scrunched up paper, nothing's going to happen. However, it's quite windy here and my paper gets blown away, so I'm going to use the markers and these chairs, but I don't recommend beginners do that. Find something else. Find something that's small, that you can ride the bike over and no damage is done to the bike. It doesn't shift its course or anything like that. So do as I say, not as I do. Another thing you could use as well, this car park's actually got some white markers. So you could use those as points for, first of all, your turning around the white painted lines, but also your figure eights, and soon we're going to do U-turns as well. But these don't show up very well on the video, so I'm going to use the chairs. Okay, I'm feeling confident and comfortable with those figure eights. I'm going to reduce the size of the 8. I'm also going to change the camera angle so you can watch from the middle, because it's the middle part of the 8 which is actually the main purpose of this exercise. Well, one of the main purposes of this exercise is the shift. The shift from a left, the shift to the right, and then the shift from the left to the right. So I'll focus in the middle at this point in time. Okay, so another thing is about not only increasing your skills and your confidence with these turns, but this kind of an exercise helps you get familiar with your scooter, with your motorcycle. Now, I've got a Vespa here, and you'll notice that the wheels are actually very small. So if I jump on a different bike with different wheels and different weight, it's going to feel differently. So if you're jumping on a bike for the first time, even if you think you've got some good motorcycle skills, you don't particularly know that bike. So I'd recommend you do a few figure eights in the car park, just to get familiar with the braking system and the feel and the weight and the turning circle and the turning arc of your motorcycle before you go out into the street. Now, another principle I wanted to talk about is your arms. If you're holding your bike really tight and you feel that you're actually using your arm strength to either push or the other arm is pulling it and keeping it in place, means you haven't got the balance of the bike correct. So just while you're doing this exercise, if you feel like, gee, I'm really pushing it on this side, or I'm pulling that handlebar when I have to do that, you need to adjust your balance a little bit more. So you actually could feel the bike wanting to move gently without you forcing it. Now, this is an important principle when you start to get the bike up at speed as well. If you're forcing the bike or pushing the bike and you feel you're using a lot of arm strength, it's because your weight is not correct position. And again, maybe it's not your fault, but you're just not familiar with the bike. So when you get onto a bike, you want to get the feel of what kind of an angle or what kind of a lean should I be on so this bike responds best. So that's one of the points of this exercise. Okay, next section. Sometimes you're in a scenario where you're at a stationary position. Imagine you're at a T-junction, T-intersection, and you've got a red light or a stop sign, or you're at a give way situation and you've had to stop. When you're about to take off, you can't take off in a straight line because you need to turn instantly. So it's important to practice this important step, which is being able to turn. So at a stationary position, turning the handlebar, taking off gently and turning at the same time. Once you've made your turn, then straightening up. So I'm going to use this same figure 8. I'm going to imagine between the red and the blue chair, that's like the stop sign. So I'm going to come up to a stop. I'm then going to turn the handlebars, and then I'm going to proceed gently and trying to make it like a tightish turn, and then straighten up and off I go. And then I'll come around and do it again. Try the right side, try the left side. So stop, turn, taking off, and then straightening up is the next thing you should practice on your motorcycle, because this is a real life skill that you need. Now, as a beginner, you've practiced taking off, you've practiced stopping. We've now, if you're following along with these lessons, you now know how to turn. Now we're combining these two things of taking off and turning at the same time. So it's another skill to learn. Now, once you've learned this skill, you'll be able to do this automatically without even thinking. And a lot of these exercises are designed to train your muscle memory. So just remember, these videos are designed for a beginner. A beginner, you need to think about step by step. What do I do with the throttle? What do I do with the brake? Where do I put my eyes? Once you've done it a few times, it'll become natural, and all these moves, all these steps will just merge into one. In fact, that's the one thing about teaching. If you're ever teaching somebody how to drive a car, ride a bike, whatever it might be, the things that seem to come naturally don't come naturally to a beginner. So you can't just say, oh, you just turn. It's like if you could break into pieces what actually happens in a turn and help explain that to the beginner, that'll be really helpful for them. The other thing, if you're helping somebody learn how to ride a bike, it's identifying what they're doing wrong. So what are they doing wrong? Is it where their eyes are focused, or their chin, or are they putting on too much throttle, not enough throttle, rear brakes too tight, not tight enough? Are they sitting in the seat the wrong way? So if you're watching this with the purpose of helping somebody else learn, that's how you can be a really great teacher and a really great help to them, is by identifying the pieces that they're not doing correct and trying to help them with those pieces. Okay, last exercise in this video. So the last exercise in this video is a U-turn. Now, a U-turn, you'll be surprised at how many experienced motorcycle riders cannot do a U-turn. So I would recommend this exercise for beginners and intermediate and even pro level riders. Get used to doing your U-turn, because you know there will be a point in time where you go down the wrong street and you need to go do a U-turn, or you're looking for a park and there is none there. So being able to do a U-turn is a very important skill. So a U-turn, principle's the same for the figure eights and for the general turning. It's about using your upper body, focusing your eyes and your chin and your nose, lowering the shoulder. Getting your speed right is also a very important principle. So as a beginner, start with a very wide U-turn area. So you can see here, I've got a lot of road white lines in this car park. I'm going to use this crack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 10 paces is the next crack. So that's a nice big wide area for a beginner. And again, it's important that you actually have some markings. So this is a real life context. But it's also important to have these markings because of that principle I talked about before, is where your eyes are fixed is where your bike goes. If you're fixing your focus on the line, that's where your bike's going to go. So we need to train our eyes to look where you want the bike path to go, which is just inside of the line area. So start with a nice big path, use some actual road markings. I'm going to practice a U-turn. I'm going to do a few and show you what it looks like. So you can see, you may have noticed that I started wide using the cracks of the road, but then as my confidence and skills increased, I moved my own path. There's a couple of white markings that were just like a meter short, so I went from say 10 meters down to 8 meters, and then you can try and get it tighter and tighter and tighter. But again, it's not only your skills that you're developing, but you're getting familiar with your own motor scooter. Okay, another little illustration. We've kind of started hinting a little bit about the lean of the bike. This is a nice little illustration. You talk about the benefits of the lean of your bike, because it's actually going to reduce the turning circle. So I'll show you what I mean. So if I turn the front wheel of my motor scooter, I'm going to show you what the turning arc is like. Then I'm going to compare it to when the bike's actually on a lean, the turning circle when the bike is on a lean. So this is the turning circle of my bike. So that's the width of my turning the turning circle of my bike, and that was with the front handlebar turned to a full lock, and I held the bike upright, kept it upright, and I just walked it around. I got my key for my security gate where I live. I'm going to put that so I remember where this turning point is, and I'm going to compare it now that the bike is actually on a lean. So you'll just notice that I started the bike over here where the crack is, and that is the full turning arc to here. But when I put the bike on the lean, you'll notice when the bike is on the lean, the tires are actually, we're using the side of the tires. Well, not the side, but we're starting to creep around the side, which is actually going to reduce the turning circle. So I'll do it one more time. The turning circle from the far crack. Yeah, I'll do it one more time from the same starting position, so I can actually compare where that black marker is now. I'm going to start exactly on that side there, crack, with the rear wheel at a certain point. So it's about that far the difference. So it's about that far the difference between the bike on an angle and the bike upright. So when you're doing your U-turns or trying to negotiate the tight space, you want to start see if you can get that lean of the bike working for you. So to see with the tires here, so we're actually going to the sides of the tires rather than using that part of the tire. So we start creeping around to the side. That's a way that you can reduce your turning circle. So in today's video, we've covered U-turns, turns, figure eights, and also turning from a stationary position. I've got to go home now because I'm getting sunburnt and stinking hot. I've got to cool off. But on the way home, I'm going to strap my camera onto the chest and I'm going to show you what it's like using some of those turning principles in a real life context in amongst the traffic. So I'm going to try and demonstrate U-turns and some turns and some stationary turns as well, and any other kind of roadcraft ideas that might present themselves as I ride home. So next video will be about slalom turns and turning at speed, so doing what's known as the counter steer. So this will be the higher speed, moving your bike, shifting directions of your bike at higher speed will be the next video. Thanks for watching. So before I do this turn, I've got to go straight and then I'm turning to the right. There's no need for me to start with my front wheel turned. I'm actually going to go in a straight direction, then make the turn, and I'm going to blend in and follow that white car. Take your turn and then get up to speed and what do? Okay, I'm going to take a turn here. I've got my left indicator on. I stay in the middle of the lane because I'm actually taking ownership of this lane. I'm steadying my speed. I've got my rear brake on. I've got a bit of throttle on. I turn my head, turn my shoulders, and away I go. I do the same here. Now I'm doing a right turn. Okay, now I've made the turn. I release the brakes and then throttle on. So to here I've got the slow ride principle. Throttle is on, my feet are up, throttle is on, rear brake is on, I'm maintaining my speed. And this is very easy to negotiate and maneuver around by just maintaining a speed. I can even go down here and be a little bit sneaky. No, not with that big guy. Okay, now I've stopped. Now I'm off. Maintaining the speed, leaning the bike a little bit by dropping my shoulder, dropping my elbow, and releasing the brake, and away we go. Just keeping up with the flow of the traffic. Yeah, he's got his brake lights on. I'm going to put mine on and keep the distance. I'm going to stay on the right side so that driver can see me in his mirror. And I can actually see beyond the black car as well. So this is the best space to be. Following along, following the tyre path actually, the tyre path of the car in front. This is the best position. So I've got a lot of buffer zone on my left side. If I can turn in, I can move into that side of the lane if ever necessary. For example, I've got this taxi and these cars turning up here, so I might move to the left side of the lane, give them a bit of space. Okay, hazards are gone, I'm going back to that right side of the lane so the driver in front of me can see it, but also, you can't see this in the video, but the driver behind me, I'm right in his eyesight, right in the middle. So that driver behind me, he knows I'm here, he's going to keep his distance. If I move to the left side, that driver behind me starts to think, oh, he's turning. Okay, this guy's going to come in, I better give him some space. I'm going to sneak past him. But this is what's called taking ownership of the road or of your lane or of your space. By me positioning myself on the right side, I am taking ownership of this space, this lane. The driver behind me can see me and can't get past me. He needs to maintain his distance as well. Okay, I'm going to take a left up here. I'm going to move to the left lane. Here again, I'm going to stay in the middle of this lane. The reason is, so I've got a fairly nice wide turning path, but again, back to that taking ownership of the lane. No one behind me is going to get past me because I've taken ownership of this lane. Okay, maintain my brake, and I've released the brake. I'm going to overtake this guy. So this is the next lesson where we're going to do a bit of this slalom, where we kind of like let the bike, we're not turning the bike, turning the steering, but we're just doing that gentle lean. I am now going to demonstrate a U-turn. So first and foremost, check that nobody is behind me. 100% the most important thing. You don't want to do a U-turn if there's traffic around. Okay, so I'm going to steady my speed. I'm going to take up the maximum width of the lane. I've got my rear brake on. I'm nice and steady. Getting my speed correct first. Then I get around and nope. Yeah, I've got no one behind me again. And attempt another U-turn. I've got my speed nice and steady. No, can't do it. Let's try again. So first two attempts, I didn't succeed. I was actually going really, really slow. I'm going to try this time a little bit faster and see if that makes any difference. Rear brake's on, throttle was up. Turning. Whoa, do I get there? Okay, I made it. I made it that time, and the difference between the first two attempts was my throttle was on faster, so I was using the power of the engine, and my rear brake was on much stronger that time. So the first two attempts I was basically way too slow. Way too slow, and I lost balance. I wasn't able to keep the bike upright. So this is what you do for practice. You've just got to just get out in the back streets where no one's around, and it's about getting the balance and the speed correct, and also knowing the limitations of your bike. I want to do a U-turn, but I'm trying to find the best place to do the U-turn. I'm looking for a wide path of the road, and I'm also looking for the safe place as well. Okay, just good enough. Let's give it a try. So I've got my speed. I'm down at the wheel. Can I get around? Can I get around? My eyes are focused. And do I make it? Yes! Practice makes perfect. I did a U-turn in quite a short space of time there, just like I practiced out in the back streets. So I pulled up to a stop here. I'm actually going to turn the wheel, the bars, before I take off. Got my rear brake on, little bit of throttle, release the throttle gently. My brake's off now, and now I can apply the gas. Okay, so I'm going to take this turn here, this left. Actually about in the middle of the lane. I've got my speed nice and gentle. Turn the bars a little bit, steady speed, and then you accelerate. Okay, coming up to the end of the street, I'm going on to a busy street. I've got my indicator on early. I'm about in the middle of the lane. It's a very small lane. I've got my rear brake on. I'm maintaining my speed, and can I go? No, so I stop. Now I'm looking around the corner to see where I'm going. While I'm waiting for the traffic to clear, it's important just to have a peep around the corner to see where you're going to go. Is there any cars parked there, or is it a clear path? Should I go to the left lane? Should I go to the right lane? Should I go to the middle of the lane? So while you're waiting, weigh up your options. Take the corner steady. Once you get around the corner, then you put your throttle on. Okay, now looking well up ahead, I can see a green car is in my lane, so I need to change lanes. So I'm checking my mirror. I see there's a white car behind me. I'll wait for it to pass. Indicators on, shoulder check, move over, and I've avoided that danger, that green car, well and truly in time.